A 48-point first quarter carries the Jazz after a physical fight for the next 36 minutes to yet another win in their home away from home, Detroit. It's next on POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
David Locke along with Ron Boone after the Utah Jazz win a 126-119 game that was not mundane, was not as simple as the final score, and was quite a fun night until a murderously slow fourth quarter. The Jazz score 48 points in the first quarter. Let's start there because after that, the night really changes. It's almost like it would almost be if you had like a book that was written by multiple authors. So let's just start there. We'll get to the rest of the night, but let's go to that first quarter. 48 points from the Jazz. They shoot 15 of 23, 9 of 13 from three. They're in transition over a quarter of their possessions. In transition, they average 2.6 points per. What did you see in that first quarter that put them up 48-19?
What I saw was the fact that the Jazz got hot shooting the basketball. And what it reminded me of was what the Clippers did to the Jazz in the first quarter in Los Angeles here a few days ago. 3-point shot, and the way the Jazz really 9 for 13 in that first quarter, and they get 48 points out of it because of that. So what I saw was the fact that the Jazz were playing a little bit faster, and they were shooting early in the clock. A little bit different than what we saw there in that second and third quarter.
All right. In their ability to get in transition, like what can they take from that first quarter? Obviously, you're not going to have an effective field goal percentage of 93%. So what can they take that was more than just making shots?
Regardless of making the shots or not, it'd be the type of shots that they were getting that I think the coaching staff would look at. And we were getting this. It didn't go in. We trusted those shots to go in next time. But the fact that they slow things down and then those quality shots start to deteriorate, and you're turning the ball over, and then all of a sudden you lose that momentum. What they will be looking at is the type of shots, the quality shots that they were getting in the way they were playing.
Jazz only turned it over 3 times in that first quarter. In the second quarter, Detroit now we have a new author, and this author is a physical, gritty. I mean, Detroit gets into the Jazz. And the one thing about the Jazz this year, they have actually not played the best defensive teams in the league. They played Oklahoma City, but they have not played any of the other best defensive teams in the NBA yet. And so they are into the Jazz. I mean, physically. They are fouling every play, every second, grabbing, holding, hassling you 94 feet. And the Jazz really struggled with it, Ron.
They really struggled with it. And you know, I'm watching this, David, and I'm thinking, okay, this is what the Jazz worked on this morning, doing against Detroit. Detroit returned the favor and did it against the Jazz, and all of a sudden now they get some momentum. They start getting some high percentage shots. They start scoring early in the shot clock, and things start to turn around. Again, film session is going to be awfully good here. It's going to be good for the team because now they can see the difference, the big difference in scoring early in the clock and taking care of the basketball.
All right. So that physical play gets into the Jazz are turning it over. They can't get across half court. They can't get their offense. They're throwing it around. They're frazzled. They're rushed, actually, was probably when they are actually getting it across. They're super rushed, so they're not taking as good of shots. And then they actually kind of hold it off and get a 13-point lead at the half. Keyonte George has a monster dunk, and the three might have been more impressive. Some real fight there from the Jazz to hold it off and go to the half with a 13-point lead.
Yeah, and good for them. Good for the Jazz that they were able to put the fire out there momentarily and turn things around to the point where going into the half, it wasn't just a disaster for them. You know, they had some momentum going into the third quarter. But, again, when you can put the fire out and then, pick things up, it just made it awfully hard for Detroit to catch up and win this basketball game because it was so far in the hole.
So if the first quarter was if we're doing books, by the way, if the first quarter was a Baldacci action thriller, the second question was a Stephen King horror killer. The third quarter was just kind of a fun up and down physical, but everyone got. The fourth quarter was a James Michener endless novel of boredom. that never seemed to stop. But the point of the fourth quarter from a Jazz standpoint in the midst of that is that the game got down to 4-6, and they got it back up again. They, in the midst of all of this slow and reviews and fouls and physical play and fights and Clarkson and Ron Holland just squaring up on each other and getting ejected and all this other shenanigans, they held off the Pistons' multitude of rallies and got the win.
And still end up winning the half for the most part, 65-59, because of that. And I mean, there's something good about what happened in this ball game. There's something bad about it as well. But again, the Jazz doing well on the road. Not a lot you can say.
Well, no, there's a lot. There's a lot you can say. No, there's not a lot you can say after that Clipper game. There's a lot to say tonight. So some of the individual performance. Hey, Rick, how are you? Good. Look at you with a happy Christmas sweater on, Rick Mahorn. Say hi, Rick Mahorn. Oh, well, I just put you on video. There you go. Did you appreciate some of the physical play tonight in the stereotype of questions to you? Huh? No, because we lost.
It's interesting.
Really? You've noticed that one of the referees tonight seems to have a different style game than any other referee? Really? Yeah, that is true. Yes, there was.
The tension was there. No calls on one side. I'm surprised John Collins didn't.
I actually said that. I agree with you. He said he's surprised John Collins didn't get a fight tonight. No, thank you. We now have the nice people here asking if we have trash. We're all over the place here, but that's Detroit. Like, that's what happens. By the way, I don't think that any of your opponents, Rick, are surprised that your T-shirt is Cats as a Grinch.
Yeah, because it represents the bad boys.
It represents the bad boys.
The bad boys
there we go. Rick Mahorn. There it is. Love it, baby. All right. Get healthy, Rick. Thanks, man. All right. Let's talk about some individuals because we got to give out squares, and also there is just a ton of it's madness. But so if I throw the turnovers out for a second, because I think Collin had a triple-double tonight, or a double-double tonight.
Double-double.
He also, though, like, is the one guy we have on this entire roster who can just beat someone off the dribble. We don't have anyone else on the roster. So he ends up with the responsibility tonight. When they're playing with that kind of pressure, it's just he got the responsibility of just put your head down and beat guys. It led to 10 turnovers, but it also led to 30 points tonight and 7 assists.
Yeah. He is the one guy, as you just mentioned, that can break the defense down, get ahead of the traps before they occur. And get numbers, which is very important because if they're going to try to trap you and they're picking you up just over the midcourt and you get ahead of that, now you have numbers. You should get something good out of it. But he's the only one. I think Collins. I'm sorry, Keyonte had gotten better, but tonight he just kept slowing it down and getting himself in trouble, especially in that coffin corner.
He shoots it great tonight. Keyonte goes 7 of 13 from 3. The Jazz go 20 of 40 from 3. That's why they won. I mean, sometimes we can overanalyze this. The last time the Pistons played, they went 20 of 40 from 3 and they won. Tonight we went 20 of 40 from 3 and we won. Like, there's sometimes that can be overanalyzed a little bit. It really gets about that simple. Bowler might have a black eye, it looks like, from the physical play tonight. He looks like he might be beaten up a little bit. He's getting up over here. We're all together. We don't have our private sanctuary up in the rafters for our show tonight. We have all the good guys around. Thurl's grimacing. Thurl got beat up. He's grimacing. Bowler's got a black eye. They're ready for a late night in New York City, baby. That's right. Coming, man. Keyonte, 7 of 13 from 3. I mean, and there were some real dagger plays. He got beaten. He went to the locker room. Did have 5 turnovers, but I think, and then we saw Lowry kind of assert himself on a game tonight as well.
Yeah, Lowry looked very, very good. Very good, very aggressive. Ended up getting 15 shots, but he went to the free throw line 10 times. Now, that is huge as far as Lowry is concerned. 15 shots. I know we'd like to see him get at least 18 a game, but if he's getting to the free throw line 10 times, that takes up for all of that.
That'll do it. All right, reliability squares tonight, pluses tonight. Lacey says, do we care what Lacey says?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I just want to check. I mean, I didn't know if Lacey got the right.
Swear and say
I
hell yes.
didn't know if Lacey. Well, Lacey got a hell out of you. I didn't know that Lacey had such power that she just dictated the entire conversation first.
Well, let's see if we can agree with her.
She went with the starting 5.
That's what we talked about.
It is
She knows us. She knows us well.
I knew that's what you were going to say before I asked, and that's why I want to know if you're going to Lacey. Sometimes we know things.
Yeah.
I would like to point out tonight, on 3 different occasions, I used Temptation songs on the air, and he didn't react. Okay, we're in Motown. I used 3 different Temptation songs. He didn't react. And I closed the night on a Stevie Wonder song, and he didn't react.
I did react.
When I signed, sealed, and delivered it,
Oh, no, I didn't.
he didn't react. He wants Motown because he didn't like the country music stuff I said. What am I to do? Okay. We'll be quiet. If this was the 4th quarter, the show would have another 35 minutes. We apologize slightly for this kind of rambunctiously strange show tonight, but you have to understand this is a weird night here. Have a great one.
Good night.
We appreciate you. Talk to you soon.